All right. Good evening, Leandro. Thanks for being here. It's 9:35. We're going to start working together. All right. How do you feel today? Is everything all right?
Yeah, it's all right.
Good.
How about
That's
you?
great. It's fine. Thanks for asking, Leandro. Everything is going great. Good. So let's begin then. We have to start the last unit. All right. That's what we're going to do. We have today and tomorrow to finish this last unit together. So let's start by working with the first lesson. All right. We have this one over here that is used to, and actually today perhaps we're going to work with this and one more time a writing exercise that is related to writing a paragraph. Okay, and actually before going there, and so that I don't forget, I'm sending the link as I usually do so that you have access to this document. And whenever we are ready to work on the example, there you go, it's on the chat. You can go there and do it by yourself. And I'm also going to have the clock already. All right, good. So we are ready to start. Now we have this structure, Leandro, used to. What can you tell me about this expression? When do you use it? Do you know anything about it?
Mm, it's for um for use is that word use for use, I think.
Okay, yes, it comes from that one, right? When you use something, right? You can use your cell phone, you can use objects or anything in general, right? It's correct. It comes from that word. But when you use these two words together, used to, it becomes an expression, all right? And it means the following. It means a habit or a routine that you had in the past, okay? For example, you can say, I used to travel every weekend, but now I can't because I don't have money. Okay, so I used to travel every weekend means that's a habit or something that you did in the past with a lot of frequency, but now you don't do it anymore. Okay, or you can say, I used to eat meat, right? But now I'm a vegan, right? And as I'm a vegan, I don't eat meat anymore, right? So you used to eat meat, all right? So it's anything that was your habit, your routine in the past, but it is not your routine anymore, all right? So to understand that better, we have a definition. So let's read this, please, Elian.
Okay, definition. And we use this expression to talk about habits or repeated action in the past which we don't do in the present. We also use it to talk about states in the past which are not longer true. For example, I used to have long hair, but now I have short hair. He used to smoke, but now he doesn't smoke. They used to live in India, but now they live in Germany.
Great, thank you very much. Right, so it's the idea that I told you, something that was a habit for you in the past, but it's not longer true. All right, perhaps it's still true, but you want to mention that it was something true before. So if I ask you this question, Leandro, what is something that you used to do years ago that you don't do anymore in the present? What do you say?
I used to play the guitar, but now I don't play the guitar.
Great. And you can try to explain just to practice more. And why? Why did you stop playing the guitar? Why is that a past routine and it's not a present routine anymore?
Because I don't have time for hobbies right now.
Okay, good. That's great. I don't have time for hobbies right now. That's perfect. Good. Okay, so it's very simple. Things that were your habit in the past, but are not anymore. All right. The negative form is easy, as used is simple past. The negative is didn't. Right? So let's read this slide, please, then. Negative.
Negative. We use didn't for negative sentence and change the expression to the base form. The base form used to. I didn't use to eat fish. Eat fish. No, I eat fish. She didn't used to go out. She goes out a lot currently. They didn't used to dance together. They dance together every weekend now.
Great, perfect, right? It's the same logic. Now, this is the opposite. Something that was not your routine, something that you didn't used to do, but now you do, right? So the same question, Leandro. What is something that you didn't used to do in the past, but now you do?
I didn't used to study in a university, but now
Yes.
I study in a university.
Perfect. Yes, that's correct. Study always be like an right? Correct. I didn't used to study at the university, but now I do, right? I entered one and I need to go every day. So good. Very simple, right? Here, we're not going to write examples yet because we're going to go until the end of the presentation and you're going to write then a paragraph. All right. Now, here you have questions. Very simple. You know, when it's a question, you always invert. So you start with auxiliary did, and then you just copy and paste the rest of the information, right? So let's read this one as well, please.
Questions. Make the inversion to right sentence and still use the base form of that expression, used to. Did you used to travel this often? What did you used to do when you were a child? Where did you used to go when you lived in Cochabamba?
Perfect. Thank you very much. Right. So you can ask yes, no questions. Did you used to do this or that? Or you can use WH questions, right? What, where, who, etc. So just practice, please. Try to ask two questions, please, Leandro. One question that is going to be a yes, no question, like this. Did you used to and blah, blah, blah. And one that is a WH question with what, when, where, how, who, etc. Okay, so what is your first question? A
Okay.
yes, no question.
Did you used to um did you used to um uh, work in that office?
Okay, yes, that's a great question. And I can say yes, I did, or no, I didn't. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I did. No, I didn't. Perfect. One more, please. But now you need to use a WH word. What, when, where, why, etc.
Okay, and how did you use to um make the dinner?
Okay, yes, it's correct. How did you used to make dinner, right? Just make dinner, correct? You can say, right, I used to, I don't know, right, use this type of tools or use a pan or a boil, right, and do this and that. So good. That's great, right? Something that was a habit in the past, but now it is not longer true. So you have this formula, very simple. I used to plus the base form. If you say that in negative, used to is only in the base form, right? I didn't used to. And if it's a question, inversion and also used to without any type of extra element. Okay, so we have one extra thing, but before going there, because that's going to be different, I'm going to leave you with these formulas. And please, we're going to write the paragraph I was talking about. All right. This paragraph is going to be, well, you're going to try to write as much as you can. You need a minimum of 5 complete sentences, okay? A minimum of 5 complete sentences. But you need to try to connect your ideas because you're going to tell me something in the past, okay? A story in the past about anything you want, and you're going to try to use at least these expressions. Okay, you can use used to in affirmative way one time, in negative one time, and if there's no chance, there's not necessity to use the question. Okay, mainly try to use affirmative and negative, and also try to use other tenses in past. Okay, try to tell me other ideas in past so I can see how you use it. All right, so anything you can tell me, for example, about a vacation that you had 2 years ago, and you tell me your vacation, and as you're telling me your vacation, what happened, you can tell me something that you used to do at that time. Okay, you can say, I traveled to Brazil at that time, and I used to read a lot. So I brought a book with me so that I can be reading or I could be reading during the trip. All right. I went and I visited, right, Rio de Janeiro, something like that. And you can also say, I didn't used to watch a lot of TV. That's why I was just visiting places. Okay, so in my example, I talk about past. I used past, and I just used to and didn't used to 2 times. All right, so try to follow the same idea, Leandro. We're going to have, for this purpose, remember you need one paragraph with at least 5 complete ideas, and try to use at least one time affirmative, one time negative. All right, let's have please 5 minutes and 30 seconds to 6 minutes. And if you finish before, please let me know. All right, so here we go.
I finished.
All right, let's take a look at that then. And we're going to go to the next part. Sorry, that's not the one over here. So let's read what you got, please, Len.
Okay, I traveled to Mexico 3 years ago with my father. We are didn't used to take vacation, but this year we finally made this long travel. I used to travel to Tupiza for my vacation because I passed my childhood there, and we have a camp house and that it was of my grandparents. And I remember that year we got very fun. It's
Thank you.
correct.
Thank you. Thank you, Leandro. Yes, we have
The last
details, all
part.
right? In general, we're going to make some changes, all right? In general, we're going to make small changes. It is pretty good because I can see that you're using a lot of tenses. That's great. But let me check, all right, from the beginning until the end. So the first part is good, right? Just remember this word traveled with ed, and because you said I traveled, right, but only right, traveled. So I traveled to Mexico, sorry, 3 years ago with my partner. Great, right? So this is a complete idea. Remember, whenever you have a complete idea, you need semicolon or period. All right, so it can be this one or period. Now, remember the rule, right? If you take a look at the formula, in negative or affirmative, we don't use the verb to be, right? So you only say didn't, okay? You don't say the verb to be, only didn't. That means estar acostumbrado, but in English, you don't say estar, all right? You don't say the word be in English. So that's why here you don't need are, and it's only going to be we didn't used to take vacations, all right? So this until this part is only one sentence, and it's what you call a compound sentence because it has to complete ideas. One complete idea, you have a fanboy that is back, and you have another complete idea. All right. Now the rule says that to divide these two complete ideas, you always use a comma before but. Okay, so we didn't used to take vacations, comma, but this year, and here you can use two commas once again, and this is optional, but to be very precise, so it's going to be good. This is because this year is an introductory phrase, okay, and it's an interrupter. So, but this year, we, because the subject is we, all right, and if it's not at the beginning, you need commas. So, comma, but, comma, this year, comma, we finally made this long travel, all right? So here also you can change this expression a little bit. You can say we finally got to travel, okay? I'm going to give you two options here. We finally got to travel. It means it was possible. Or you can also say we finally, all right, did to make a trip, to do a trip, did this trip. That's going to be better, all right? So instead of travel, it's better if you use the word trip as a noun, all right? Then here you have a period. So this year we finally got to travel or did this trip. Then here you have right? I used to travel to Pisa for my vacations because I passed my childhood there. Great. And right here you need and comma one more time. Why? Because and is a coordinated conjunction or a fanboy. Uh, and we have a camp house that. So as you're saying here, the camp house, and you say that, you don't need another subject. Okay, so after that, you're going to use directly the verb. Okay, so I have a camp house that was of my grandparents, or even you can say directly that was my grandparents. Instead of my grandparents, and you add, sorry, where is the one? An apostrophe, and this means that this is possession. Okay, so that camp house was your grandparents. And here one more time, you need a period, all right? And then I remember that year we got a very fun. Remember, fun is like an adjective, and you don't get fun, you can get fun, but you in this time the expression is better to have fun. Okay, so you can say we had, and instead of very fun, we had a lot of.
Mm.
Okay, it means that you had a very good time. Okay, had a lot of fun. All right, so let's read one more time, please, to analyze those corrections.
Yeah, okay. I traveled to Mexico 3 years ago with my father, and we didn't used to take vacations, but this year we finally got to travel or did this trip. I used to travel to Tupiza for my vacation because I passed in my childhood there, and we have a camp house that was my grandparents. I remember that year we had a lot of fun.
All right, great. Thank you very much. All right, so mainly those details then, Leandro, about those comments. Okay, punctuation is not going to be very important now, but if you're preparing, for example, for the TOEFL or any international test, it is very important then to take into account, all right, those commas. Then what was another correction? Yes, you don't use the verb to be with expression used to. And yes, it's better if you use the apostrophe when you talk about possession. That's it in general. All right, let's go to the next part. I believe that it was good. We're going to be improving those details. Now, we have another expression that is similar. It's part of this lesson, but it is not the same. Okay, because when you say used to, it is one thing, and this is another expression, and this is what you were doing, Andrew, with be used to, but the meaning is different. So when you have be used to or get used to, it is a different thing. But let's understand. Let's read this element over here, please.
Okay, be careful. Choose be used to say you are accustomed to something, and so it seems normal or usual. If you are used to something, it is not difficult, new, or strange. Example, don't worry, I'm used to listening to loud music. She's used to dancing with her friends. It's not new for her.
Great, thank you. Now, to understand this, let's do the following. All right, remember, this is when you are accustomed to doing something, and it's different to be used to. So I'm going to write something for you over here, and tell me what the difference you think it is. Okay, when I say I used to travel very often, and when I say I am used to traveling very often, what the difference is when we say those two ideas? What do you say, Leandro? What is the meaning of number one or the first one, and what is the meaning of the second? What do you say? What could it be?
Mm, I used to travel very often. Is the hmm, I don't know. I don't know.
So the first one is what you did, right? The first one. Remember, what is the meaning of used to? What do you remember about used to, about the sentences that you did?
That a thing that I we did in the past, but now we don't do.
Exactly. It's a
Uh-huh.
routine or a habit that you had in the past, but you don't have that routine anymore, right? So in number one, then what is the meaning? That your habit was to travel very often, but now you don't do it, right? That's the meaning of number one. You used to travel in the past, but now you don't travel. But number two, if you analyze one more time this one, it says you're accustomed to something. So it seems normal or usual. So what is to be accustomed to something, Leandro? What do you say? How can you explain this? What is to be accustomed to something?
Mm, that there is um, some normal in the life, normal for you.
Exactly.
It's a thing of every day.
Correct. It means that it's something that you do, I don't know if every day, but it's normal for you to do it. So it means, if you analyze then the sentence, I am used to traveling very often. It means that now this is normal for you. Okay, so the meaning is very different, right? The first one means that it's a past habit, and the second one means that is something normal for you to do. All right, so let's try to write some examples, please. Here you have the formula, and actually this is the formula over here, and I'm going to mark it for you. Is the first one. All right, and we're going to write just some sentences in this case. You have to use the first one, okay? Not the second one, the first one. And remember, if you have be, you have to conjugate. Okay, so I am used to traveling, you know the meaning of gerund, right? So I am used to traveling every day. She is used to traveling every year. We are used to traveling every year. Okay, something that is normal for you. So let's try, please, only 3 ideas, Leandro, 3 examples. Tell me 3 things that are normal for you to do. All right, let's write it and we check in 3 minutes, or if you finish before, you let me know. Let's do it, please.
I finish.
Perfect. Let's take a look at that one. I'm going to stop this one and let's see how you did it. Let's remember that here we have to use with be, because in this case, this is a different expression, right? Um, okay, I'm here. Let's read your ideas, please.
Okay. I'm used to playing video games. He is used to talking a shower every day. You are used to doing your homework 10 minutes before.
Great. Thank you very much, Leandro. There you go. Okay, very simple, and I think they are great. Okay, you are used to playing. It's normal for you. She's used to taking a shower. It's normal for him, and you are used to doing your homework 10 minutes before. Also normal for you. Okay, so as you can see, the expressions are very similar, but the meaning is very different. All right, so if you use the verb to be with gerund, the meaning is going to be very different. And you have one more before going to the introduction for the next lesson, that is get used to. Okay, let's read this slide, please, to finish this lesson.
Okay, and be careful. This phrase is related in meaning to be used to. The difference is that get used to means someone is, was, or will become accustomed to something. So the verb get in the phrase can take the present, past, or future tense. I get up at 7 a.m. every day. I'm getting used to waking up early. She's getting used to dancing alone. Her friends don't dance with her like before.
All right, thank you. Now, this is only going to be speaking. Again, what is the difference between be used to and get used to? When you say be used to, is normal for you, right? But when you say get used to, it's not normal yet, but it will be normal in the future. All right? So, what is something that you are getting used to doing, Leandro? It's not normal for you yet, but it's in the process and it will be normal in the future. What do you say?
I get up. Oh no, sorry. I get used to. I am getting used to speak English very well.
Good. To speaking, right? With
To
ing.
speaking.
Very well. Perfect. That's good. I'm getting used to speaking English. You can say every day, for example. Right? Very well. Also, you can say I'm getting used to, right, taking quizzes every, I don't know, right, every 3 or 4 days. So something that you are getting used to that was not normal for you before, all right? But now it's getting, right, it's becoming normal thing. All right, so this is very useful. You can use this in a lot of conversations. Leandro, when you talk about your past routine, I used to travel a lot. When you talk about something that is normal, I'm used to traveling a lot. When you are getting used to that idea, I'm getting used to traveling a lot, right? So it's like a process, past, present, and the possible future. But that's it with me, and actually with this part, you are finishing this lesson. We have some time that we're going to use to introduce the next one. But I don't know if you have any questions before going to the next part, Leandro. Let me know, please.
No, I have no questions.
All right, so let's take advantage because remember, as tomorrow is going to be the last class, it's better if you have an idea of the lessons in general. And we have two more to cover. So this is going to be the second one, embedded questions. I already told you about this one actually, but it was just one observation when you told me something. I'm going to explain briefly. An embedded question is a question inside another question, right? And remember, and tell me something. If you go to the United States, right, you don't know anybody, and remember, you want to be polite, right? You want to be kind with people, and you don't know where is the bathroom, right? Where is the bathroom? So if that is the question, where is the bathroom? Or where is the restaurant? How can you ask that question in a formal way, in a polite way, Leandro? And remember, embedded question is one question inside another question.
Could you tell me where is the bathroom?
Good, correct. Only one mistake. Remember, if you have one question inside another question, the second question doesn't have question order. It has sentence order. So, right, so it's going to be, could you tell me where the bathroom is? Right, so the verb to be is going to be at the end in that case. Right, so it's because it's an exception. So this is what we're doing. All right, you can think of different examples. You're just putting one question inside another question, right? So the main question is, where is the bathroom? It's correct, right? The order. The second question is, could you tell me? Right? So you have two questions, could you tell me? And if you want to put them together, you only copy and paste the first question and you copy and paste the second question, but you have to make some changes. right? What changes? First, the capital letter. Could you tell me where? And instead like that, look, if I keep it like that, it's going to be a mistake. Why? Because this verb to be has to be in sentence order. What is the sentence order? Subject, the bathroom, plus the verb
Is.
is. Exactly. Okay, so that's everything. That's everything you have to do in embedded questions. But sometimes it's harder. I'm going to give you an example. And actually, no, you're going to help me with this. This is the first example, right? The second one, imagine that your question is not this one, it's going to be this one. Where does she work? Okay, so my question is, where does she work? And the other question is, could you tell me? So what is the embedded question of those two questions?
Um, could you tell me where she work does do?
Uh-huh. Close, close. But remember, in the simple present, when it's affirmative, you don't use the auxiliary. What you do is you use the S of the third person, right? So instead of das, you don't use that. You have to conjugate word in the third person. So how do you say ella trabaja? How do you say that in English?
She works.
Exactly. So you don't need the auxiliary because it's not a question anymore. It's an affirmative idea. So you eliminate the auxiliary and you conjugate the verb as if it was singular and affirmative. Okay, so could you tell me where she works?
Works.
All right, and it's the same in give me 1 second. It's the same in past. Okay, it's absolutely the same in past. I'm going to give you the same logic over here. Okay, so your first question this time is where did they go? Okay, it's in past. So what is the embedded question of these two questions?
Could you tell me where they goes?
Close, but instead remember only the S is when you have he, she, it, right?
Okay.
He, she, it, and remember it's only present, right? She works, they go, oh, sorry, they go, they don't need that. Okay, so she goes, he goes, it goes, right? But
Okay.
this is not third person, and actually this is past, right? So you need to conjugate the main verb in simple past. So what is the simple past of go? What do you say?
Um. Uh. Could you
Or the
tell?
past?
Okay.
Yes, go ahead, please.
Could you tell me where they went?
Correct, exactly. And that's it, all right? Where they went. Okay, so if you analyze and if you understand these three, then you have everything clear. Because the rest of the tenses, Leandro, is very easy because they don't have auxiliaries that change. Everything is going to be just changed in the order, okay, as the verb to be. So these are the two that are the hardest. These two, only these two. Why? Because they change. In affirmative, they have a conjugation. In negative, they use auxiliary. The same here. In affirmative, they have a conjugation in past. In negative, they use the auxiliary did. Right? That's why they are different. But all the rest of the tenses are the same as the verb to be. All right, but let's try to understand a little bit more by reading some ideas, and then we're going to practice more. So, embedded questions. Let's read this, please, to start.
Okay, and definition. And sometimes we want to use a question as part of another question or a statement. This is called an embedded question.
There you go. Thank you very much. So, it can be part of questions, or as you can read, it can also be part of a statement. Okay, it can also be part of a statement. So here, I'm going to read the first part. It says, we can use embedded questions as part of other questions. That's what we are doing. This is sometimes called an indirect question. all right? And it's often used to be polite, right? As I told you. So let's read the example, please, Leandro.
Okay, normal question. Where is the station? Indirect question. That includes an embedded question. Could you tell me where the station is?
Okay, that's exactly what we did, right? Very simple. An indirect question has an embedded question. That's what we are learning. But we can also use that with statements. So we can also use embedded questions as part of the statements. The embedded question is a noun clause and can be used with a similar way to a noun. So let's also read these examples, please. Normal question and embedded question.
Okay, normal question. Where does she work? Embedded question in a in a statement. I don't know where she works. Here, where she works is the object.
There you go. Thank you. So there you go. It can be with questions or with statements. But now, with the time that we got, we're going to do something today. We're going to start the first part and we're going to finish tomorrow. But the first part is the following, please. To practice this step by step, we are going to write questions first. Okay, but normal questions, not embedded questions. Normal questions like what's your name, where do you work, and so on and so forth. All right, so we're going to do this now. We're going to use the document that we have over here one more time. And please, we are going to write a total of, let's have only 4 questions. Okay, 2 questions are going to be yes, no questions. Okay, I'm going to write out actually the example so that we remember. Okay, so we have to write 2 yes, no questions. Okay, and 2 WH questions. Okay, but also we have more instructions. One or two of them, or let's say one is in present with be. Okay, so it has to be in present and you have to use the verb to be. All right, one is in the present with other verbs. It means you cannot use the verb to be, right? One is in past and one is in future. All right, so that's the general instruction. Only 4 questions, 2 yes, no questions, 2 WH questions, 1 in present with be, 1 in present with other verbs, 1 in past, and 1 in the future. Right? So let's do it, please, Leandro. Let's have 4 minutes to write those questions. And once again, if you finish before, let me know and we start checking. Right? Let's do it, please.
Okay.
And here, this is going to be with comments. All right.
I finish.
Great, thank you very much. Let's take a look at that. With those examples, we're going to be ready to work on something. If we have the time, we're going to do something now. But if not, that's going to be the last part. We're going to have the time, I imagine. I'm here, so let's read those questions, please.
Okay, are you in the party? Take you the book of my room. Where was the dog yesterday? Who do you think will win the competition?
Thank you very much. All right, so here we have some things, and actually the last one is a great question, right? But it's going to be like a mixture between present and future. But now, just for this practice, okay, just for this practice, we need only a future question, all right? But let's begin. This one is great, all right? Are you at the party? Great. This one, actually, you need something. Remember, this is a question in present with other verbs. Now, there's a rule. If you want to ask a question with other verbs that are not the verb to be, you always need one auxiliary, right? What is the auxiliary that you need in present, Elena?
And do you take? Yes, I forgot
Exactly.
that.
Exactly. So, do you take, right, the book? And now this is correct grammatically, but it sounds a little bit weird, right? It's like asking, ¿te llevas el libro de mi habitación? Right? But it's like a habit, like a routine. But in this case, it's not a habit, right? So what can you ask? Let's try to change also that one. What can you ask in present about a routine? Something that happens every time. Also, you can use this as a routine, but you can add one word that can be the word always. And you can ask, do you always take the book of my room? Right? It's like, do you do that every day? Because if you use the simple present, it's better if you ask about a routine and not only about a one-time activity. All right? If it's a one-time activity, it's better if you ask, are you taking the book of my room? All right, but in this case, let's do that, please. Let's make that change in Andro. Or actually, I'm going to do it for you here. It's going to be, do you always take the book? All right. And now they want to make a suggestion there, and it's going to be good. Of my room is like part of your room, and from my room is going to be like that belongs to your room, right? So you can change that to from, and it can be also a better idea. So you have that. Then you have present with be. You have present with other verbs. You have simple past. It is good with the verb to be. Where was the dog yesterday? Now here, the question is correct. Okay, the question is correct. But how can you make it just a future question and not a present? Because actually when you say do you think, it's a present, right? Who do you think? I think that he will win. It's present with future, right? But how can you make it only future then without present?
Who will win the competition?
Okay, all right. There you go. Who will win the competition? All right, there you go. Now we have these 3 minutes, so let's start working on this. The first thing that you have to analyze when you want to work on an embedded question is if there's a question word, right? So if you have a question word, what is a question word? Who, what, when, where. So if you have it, keep it. If you don't have a question word, you have to use if or where. All right, that's what you're going to do now. You have to use normal grammar, right? Order. Remember, you don't use do, does, did. You have to use sentence order. You also know that one, subject, verb, and complement. And you have to use a period or you have to use a question mark. So today, please, in these last minutes, Leandro, we're going to do the following. Here you have, actually, let's work with the questions. Here, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so let's use these 4 questions, please, to form an embedded question with your 4 questions that you have. Okay, so one of your questions is going to be with do you know? The other one with could you tell me? The next with is it possible to know? And the last one with would you mind telling me? It means that after this question, you have to put your question, your first question in present. Here, your second question in present. Here, your third one in past. And here, the last one in future. All right, so let's do it, please. Let's try to, I'm going to leave you with that here. And actually, if you want, I'm going to copy and paste this information so that you can have access it in the chat. Okay, it's a little bit weird. I think it's in the form of a picture. I don't know why. Okay, yes, no, you have the picture and also you have the all right. So you have those questions in the chat. Use that information, please. And let's have 3 minutes because you only need to copy and paste, okay? And even less, finish that one and tell me, please, to check those questions.
I finished.
There you go, right? Very simple because it's just copying, pasting, and then making some changes. There is one with who, but let's see how you do it, all right? Let's read, please, now your embedded questions.
Do you know, are you at the party? Could you tell me, do you always take the book from my room? Is it possible to know where was the dog yesterday? Would you mind telling me who will win the competition?
All right, good. Now, again, we're going to use some extra minutes. Now, do you remember the rules? What do you have to do? If you don't have a WH word, what word do you have to add, Leandro, in number 5? You need to add one word.
If.
If, correct. So it is going to be here. If, okay, I'm going to mark it like that. Correct. After that, it says that it has to be in sentence order. Now your question is in question order. What do you have to change to have a sentence order?
It is possible to know. I don't know. I don't know.
Remember the questions here? It's where is the bathroom? But you say
okay.
where the bathroom is, right? So
Okay,
how
okay.
can you change that one to sentence order?
It is possible to know where the dog yesterday was.
Correct. And also number 5. What do you have to do in number 5?
Do you know if you at the party are?
But that's not sentence order, right? You have subject, verb, complement. That's the sentence order. Subject. So what is the subject?
You.
You. What is the verb?
Are.
Exactly. And then at the party, right? In the sentence where the bathroom is because you don't have a complement, right? The bathroom is, and there's no complement, right? So that's why you don't have that. But here, this is what you need. Okay, so I'm going to put it like that. Here, now could you tell me, also here, what word do you need first?
Could you tell me if?
Correct. If. Now do, we delete do, right? And you always take the book from my room. If you analyze, it's okay. Why do you need, or why don't you need anything else? Because the conjugation with you doesn't change, right? No hay ningún cambio en la conjugación con you. That's why you don't need to add anything else. And it's correct. You, subject, always frequency adverb, take the verb, the book from my room, that's the complement, right? So that's already sentence order, and it is correct. Okay, now in number 7, you were saying, Eleandro, how is number 7?
Is it possible to know where was the dog yesterday?
And what is the thing that you have to change?
It is possible to know if, where the dog yesterday was.
But remember, you need the subject. The subject is dog. What is the verb?
Was.
Exactly, right? So subject, verb, complement. That's the order, right? So where the dog was yesterday.
Where the dog was. Okay.
Exactly. And what about this one? Do you need to change something in number 8 or not? What do you say?
Would you mind telling me who
This is a little bit tricky, and actually it's very easy, but what is the subject in this? Who will win the competition? What do you say? What is the subject?
Competition? Who?
Actually, the competition is going to be the object, right? That's the complement. So competition is the complement. That's at the end. Win
you?
is the verb. And you don't have actually you, right? So it means in a question with who, the subject is who. Okay, so this is your subject. So you don't need to do anything. Okay, when you have a question with
competition.
Who, exactly, it's exactly the same. All right. In the other ones, you have to change because you have a subject, the dog, you, he, she, it. But when you have who, you don't have subjects, so it's the same. All right, just that one. We have one more thing to do that, of course, we're not going to do it now. But that thing we're going to finish on Friday. It's very short. It's the same, but with statements. Okay, but exactly the same. And we have one more lesson to cover, and with that we are done. All right. I don't know if you have any questions now before finishing this part, Leandro. Let me know, please.
No, I don't have questions.
All right. As always, please. Actually, let me check something. I want to be sure. What day is today's? No, today is okay. Okay, tomorrow I'm going to take you another survey, but today just the usual one. So you have access now to the survey. Let's answer, please, to those questions. And that's it for now. All right. Thanks for being here. Have a good night and see you tomorrow for the last part of this course.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Good night. Take care.
Good night. Bye.